Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're taking a look at the Redbreast Kentucky Oak Edition, 101 proof. Dustin, we recently did a canning gate that was bourbon aged in Scotland. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to have a Redbreast Irish whiskey from Kentucky Oak, and bottled at an ABV of 101, which is
total wild turkey marketing play.
Total wild turkey marketing play. So for those of you in Scotland or that perhaps don't know the Wild Turkey brand, the Wild Turkey 101, it's very affordable bourbon that high school kids and college kids get their hands on to get stupid for cheap. Tell me that wasn't your experience with it.
We do have friends of ours who do consider it one of the best value pours there is. Including our buddy who's coming over shortly, Jason, from the Mash and Drum. He's a huge fan of turkey. So, just a little more detail on this one, guys. So, it's your traditional Redbreast where it's bourbon casks and sherry casks blended together, and then they put it into a virgin oak cask, not a Kentucky bourbon barrel cask. This isn't a only bourbon finished, which is what I assumed it was when I bought it, as did a lot of people I know. So, I'm going to just say the marketing on this one definitely was misleading if you didn't read the label. If you just looked at the front of it, you would have thought, oh, bourbon finished Redbreast. That's different. They usually use sherry. There's sherry in here.
And you know what I say, Dustin? I'm not reading anything. Just give me the whiskey.
Mike drink. Mike no read.
I don't like reading.
And then the final note is this did finish, I think, second or third recently in Whiskey of the Year from one of the large publications who has lost the right to be named because you guys did the worst job I've ever seen of anyone ever on a list.
Okay, here we are. Irish whiskey, always something we enjoy.
Yeah.
Redbreast is always one that we will have a few bottles of here and there.
Yeah, they do some good stuff. Mike, on the nose, it is a very pleasant, beautiful sweetness, just kind of a candy of some sort.
Bake, apple pie, cherry pie.
Yeah, I was actually going to say cherry a little bit on the finish. There is definitely a drying, slightly bitter oak note that comes at the very end.
Yeah, a little bit.
And that's kind of what makes it cherryish.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, almost like a cherry wood note. I was like, it kind of smelled like kind of cherry pie at first, but then the oak note almost comes off like it's cherry oak. You ever had furnish like polished like a piece of cherry? It's almost that level of smell. But you know what? I do get a little of that cool bourbon, almost kind of powder note that I sometimes get with E.H. Taylor's on this one.
I just get a really rich vanilla, and then, you say E.H. Taylor, that kind of cherry wood is something I kind of think of as a Buffalo Trace characteristic. And so I am getting a little of that coming in here. Up front, though, it's just really more like vanilla, custard, cream, apple pie, kind of like you're talking about, and then the finish, a little bit of cherry.
Yeah, some spices in there, too.
I do get hints of that oak that just keeps making me think, ooh, this is going to be a little young.
Yeah, sharp oak. Sharp cherry oak. Twinge of sour, maybe.
Yep. It's inviting up front with the sweetness. It just gives me a little trepidation from being like an exceptional whiskey. Your first thought on this, though, is going to be, wow, it's sweet. I brought this over to a family get-together not too long ago. And my sisters were pouring this and having it with their dessert. They said it paired beautifully. So,
yeah, it is dessert. Almost whipped cream on the finish. Kind of comes back, stings on the side. You get a little chocolate, a little dark chocolate, but almost a little white chocolate to go along with it. Much more aggressive on the palate than it was on the nose. On the nose, it kind of came off a little tame. But, man, it certainly stuck with the aggressiveness. I'm sorry, did we say the ABV on this? Yeah,
101.
Yeah, so, it's
50.5.
Yeah. A good strong ABV.
It drinks considerably hotter because that oak spice is considerable.
Yeah, good bite. Here in the linger, really, really nice oaky vanilla. Cherry on top of it with a little bit of whipped cream. It is very dessert forward.
Dessert, a little nutty. Has that little chocolate red fruit thing slightly in there with that, pot still spice is up front initial, and you think that's fine. And then, man, does it hit you with some serious virgin oak spice. Serious virgin oak spice.
Yeah, the virgin oak is probably playing a bigger role with it than I give it credit for.
That whole spice in the end, and it's a little bitter, it's bitey.
A little sour.
It's a little unpleasant. I mean, it really is a little unpleasant by the end of the finish. You're just kind of like, man, this is a lot of oak. And it's not old whiskey oak. It's virgin oak that you only really get on
bourbons. A lot of times.
Honestly, I mean, I only get it really when because I don't even know if it's a charred barrel here, Mike. So it's not even like it's charred.
It doesn't come off. Yeah, it doesn't come off that way.
The only thing I can think of that does this is actually the Dare Gaelic, but that one does it much better because it's much older whiskey.
Yeah, it's a simpler, more straightforward process.
Yeah. I mean, it's younger whiskey, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, they would have put an age statement here if it was over 10 years old.
No, it had a lot of words, Dustin.
Yeah, they may have written it somewhere in the cursive text down here.
A lot of words.
Is that seriously cursive?
You know, Redbreast in general has gone away from a lot of age statements. Remember they used to do the cast strength 12, and now it's just the cast strength and open an age statement on it?
They still have the 12 cast strength. They just
do they?
It just kind of disappeared around here for a while, and it also got really crappy for a while.
Yeah, it did change. So it seems like they've been playing a lot with their cast maturation.
They put out that Lestoux. They put out that PX. They put out a bunch of NASs, you're right. Mm-hmm. This just adds to the list.
All right, so with water, I'm not getting a huge change on the nose.
A little less sweet, a little bit more sour.
A little more sour, a little less sweet. I prefer it neat.
Not in an unpleasant way, though. It actually almost it almost smells a little bit older with a drop of water in there, but I mean, it's not doing anything special here on the nose. Just kind of starts making me think a little bit older bourbon, actually.
With water, sear on the palate, got cherry pie. As soon as you swallow, you get the vanilla. Then you get a little bit of white chocolate on the sides, a little bit of sugar cream, and then cherry on top on the finish. And then not because you wanted it, just because it's going to be a jerk about it. A little bit of tired oak with a twinge of sour.
I tell you what, I feel like the oak on the finish is really ramped up even more. It's bitter. It's sour.
Sour.
I don't like it. I like everything else about this whiskey. I like the upfront arrival. Sweet. I love that vanilla. I love that it's creamy. It's got a great mouthfeel. But man, that bitter oak.
Yeah, I mean, if you kept drinking, just one drink after another, you would never kind of get to that bitter oak. But the longer you sit between sips, the more that you're turned off by the finish, which is too bad because everything else about it is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's actually really nice, and it just keeps building up. It gets more and more bitter as it's sitting in your mouth.
This needed just a little bit more time.
I honestly think it needed more time before it went into that virgin oak cask, and a lot less time in the virgin oak.
That could be too. Maybe a little time in the virgin oak.
It got too spicy. Props to them for doing the virgin oak thing. That's a finishing we don't see a lot, and props to them for making sure you could tell they did it. They didn't, half-ass it, but man, they went a little far.
Yeah, that was commitment. But I mean, again, some people like that profile in whiskeys. I've seen the Balvenie 12 single barrel. I mean, some people like that sour oak note. It comes off young to me.
The thing is, I don't mind I don't prefer the sour oak, but I don't mind that as much. I understand that as a profile. It's the level of spice and bitter that comes with that sour that's really...
There are a couple things off-putting.
Just also, it's combining the pot still, which is spicy, with the virgin oak. It's like, man, you're just coming at me one after another. Just whack, whack.
All right, Dustin, where are you as far as a whiskey score on this one?
I'm still going to score this pretty high, Mike. I'm going to give it an 84. I'm not trashing it. I think it's actually well done. They've delivered on what they actually said they were going to do. I don't like the marketing. I feel like they made it sound like it was a slightly different whiskey than it was. But at the end of the day, I can't complain about, if you read what it says, it's exactly what you got. It's oily, it's rich, it's creamy. Just wish it wasn't so spicy and bitter at the end.
I'm a little bit higher than you. I'm at an 85. I'm going to tell you the reasons why. The things I don't like about this whiskey, I can get past it. I cannot put water in it. That will help the finish. And then I can just keep drinking. So the finish never really lasts that long. So there's a workaround here, Dustin. It's a good ABV.
You just want to chug.
It's a good ABV. And, I mean, again, man, I like pastry notes. I like Irish whiskeys in general. They're really easy to take. To me, they're spicy as far as I want to take it. You know what I'm saying? And I got a soft spot for Redbreast. I like its profile in general.
Here's the thing I'll say about this. This is something to pair with sweets.
Agreed. Or just something else. Something you're eating.
So, you chew on, something sweet after having that bitterness and spiciness of the oak probably will complement the sweetness that you're enjoying.
Agreed.
And then the up front here, it's almost like adding frosting to whatever you're eating.
It is. The up front is very dessert, very candy.
It's a rich, complex, it's an adult's frosting. It actually might go only well on ice cream. I don't know.
We'll see. All right, Dustin. If you guys had a chance to try this one, let us know what you guys think. And Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.